4 days from now, nobody will stop me from being the one that'll throw the switch and gas you out of this life for good, you son of a bitch!
Get away from her, you bitch!
I'm connecting the bypass circuit now, sir. It should take another half hour.
Captain, one of the aliens has just entered the bridge.
Understood.
We're less than 1 million kilometers from the pulsars.
And we are here again with your Saturday night, once a month edition of Women of Nerd Culture. And this week we are discussing, this month we are discussing Women of Animation. But there's only 2 of us this month, which is feeling a little bit odd for us. But yes, so I am joined by the ever lovely Sarah. And how are you doing this month, Sarah?
Absolutely fine and dandy. It's a bit hot.
It's so hot. We are
Stay hydrated, people.
We are not used to this weather in the UK.
Yeah, we are not made for the heat.
No, and it's a bit hot. But yes, this week, I'm so used to saying this week. This month we are discussing the Women of Animation, how we've enjoyed their animation styles, how we've enjoyed the characters they've created, anything to do with animation. But normally at this point, Sammy does a disclaimer. But we're not going to do the disclaimer. We're just going to advise you to pause the video, go and find any other podcast that Sammy's been in and just listen to it there, because we would not be able to do it justice whatsoever. So yes, getting on to the animation. When you were growing up, was there any animations that you thought, thinking back, that you can remember that you watched when you were a kid?
Early ones, I mean, I'm a child of the 80s, early 80s, so all the animation I remember is things like, you've got your Count Duckula, you've got Super Ted, Banana Man. I think the earliest one I can remember actually like having any sort of influence on my life, i.e. playing characters from the animation, was Thundercats.
Okay.
Me and my cousin Nick, there's just like 2 years between us. And whenever we got together, he used to be Lion-O, of course.
Of course.
I remember a very famous picture in our family there is of him when he's younger in his Y-fronts holding the Lion-O sword.
Love it.
And of course I would play Shitara.
Yeah. Works.
Yes. We used to run around the park, do the jumping off high things, rowling.
Yes.
At everybody. We even used like dressing gown belts. Like he would stand at the top of the stairs, throw the dressing gown belt down the stairs, and I would be climbing up the cliff with the dressing gown belt.
Absolutely love it.
Like we were climbing a mountain or a cliff. It was probably the first example of a woman in animation for me as well.
Yeah,
when I think about it,
sort of, I would say probably more a positive representation of a woman in animation.
Yeah, she was really fast, she was strong, she could do backflips over everybody and kick their bums, and
I love that you've watched it, and then as children do, you've then reenact it. I love that. I really do love that. But I think the first one that I can properly remember is Scooby-Doo. And obviously when I was looking into, doing a little bit of research and getting myself back into the vibe, I didn't realize how many eras of Scooby-Doo there was. Growing up, I can just remember watching them, but there were so many different variations. You had it started in 1969, and as like yourself, I'm a child of the 80s, so we had a good 20 years of Scooby-Doo before that, and I didn't realize just how influential it was. But I kind of very much had the films that I can remember watching when I was a kid, I can remember watching Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, which came out, sort of it included the original gang, and they've obviously
Yeah.
gone to the Louisiana bayous, and obviously they've had an adventure there. And then I can remember watching Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghosts, and this is possibly
Yeah.
one of my favorite ones because one, it had Tim Curry in,
Yes.
yes, and also it introduced the Hex Girls.
All right. Yes.
This is the episode that
Yes.
introduced the Hex Girls, and I absolutely love the Hex Girls. They are my favorite fictional band. I have their music downloaded, and
Brilliant.
I love the style of the animation because this was very much, you know, when these films came out, they could have shied away from having these girls as goth girls, and you know, this was very much around the time of I'm trying to think of the film The Craft, very much around that
Yes.
time, and they could have shied away from that and making it very, very similar. But I love the fact that we have Scooby-Doo gave me the Hex Girls along with obviously Daphne and Velma. But what I like about Scooby-Doo is the fact that I can still watch it now.
Yeah.
I've got a tiny human who is obsessed with Scooby-Doo. Like she very much loves the same kind of films that I like of Scooby-Doo. So like the Hex Girls, you know, Ghoul School, things like that. And this kind of links in to Tunes Up North because they have reviewed this morning. They've reviewed Scooby-Doo and the 13 Ghosts.
Yeah.
And I have actually this week watched, thanks to them, I've watched obviously some of the original series, and I've also watched the film that ends the series. So
Yeah.
if you haven't seen 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, go back and watch it because I'd forgotten just how amazing it was, because this was the series where Daphne was the leader. And obviously that doesn't often happen in Scooby-Doo because obviously it started in the 60s. And I love the fact that we had Daphne as the leader in this, and the fact that she's just so cool, and I love her. I love
she's a redhead.
She's a redhead. Well, I'm a little bit of a fake one at the moment, but yes, she's a redhead, and I love the characters that Scooby-Doo gave us, and I just find it so much fun that they're still influential nowadays. Because obviously, if someone goes Scooby-Doo, you know instantly.
Oh, the quotes from Scooby-Doo are just the timeless.
Yes.
It's all Mary Jenkinson from
Yes, but I just didn't realise just how influential the voice actors were, because they actually reappear a couple of times in my other choices. So, you know, they must have been quite influential at the time. You know, you've got Frank, I can't remember what his surname is, but obviously the voice of Fred. He reappears in quite a lot of animations. So yeah. So have you got any more?
Other than that, I'm looking probably at the original She-Ra. Or you know, a woman who could call upon immense powers when she needed, had a big sword, was like a warrior, had a flying horse. You know, you didn't see, as you said, you didn't see the women in charge really too much when we were younger, apart from like maybe a few examples, maybe Red Sonja, then Xena. And then you kind of like, I mean, I know there's going to be examples other, but like main ones, I'm thinking you're jumping from She-Ra, Red Sonja, Xena, then the bride from Kill Bill.
Yeah, that's pretty much the timeline of women in nerd culture, really. You know, women that stand out in nerd culture. That is pretty much 100%.
Women warriors in the lead roles.
Yeah, that pretty much is kind of the timeline. But I do love this She-Ra. Have you seen the new one that's come out?
Oh, I love the new one. I've got bits to say about that one later on.
Okay.
I think it's brilliant.
Okay. Do you have anything else to say about the older one, or have you got
the older one? That's my main one, women wise. But again, like it's just all, as I said, trapdoor, abducula.
Yeah, so I also was thinking of the Jetsons,
Yes.
because this is another one that's very much it was a space age counterpart to the Flintstones, and I absolutely love the Jetsons.
Wasn't it this year in July that George Jetson was officially born?
Yes, he should have been born roughly, yeah, this year.
Roughly in July.
Yeah, but what I loved about it is obviously it's a it was a comical version of the turn of the century, sort of further on,
Yeah.
thinking back, they probably thought that we were going to have more of the technology that we do
Yes.
from this. But they kind of, it was a world, it's a very comical version of it. While the Flintstones lived in the Stone Age, the Jetsons lived in the future, and they resided in Orbit City. And I can just remember watching it and just being amazed that this was someone's view of the future.
Yeah.
And I just love the characters. Obviously you had George Jackson who lived with his family in the Skypad apartments. You had Jane, and then you had Judy and Orbit, and then you obviously had the dog. But what I didn't realize is the dog inspired Scooby-Doo, because the sounds that they used for this episode for the dog in it is what they went on to use for Scooby-Doo. And yeah, and then obviously my favorite character in this program is Rosie, the housemaid robot that they had.
Yes.
And I just find it comical looking back now, is in the animation style is how they imagined her. She was a very square robot. But those type of things are now very much becoming a thing. We've got the robots, we've got AI and things like that, and I really really love this program, and I really highly recommend anyone going to watch it, because a lot of these are now available on YouTube. Yeah, I would definitely go.
I went down a few rabbit holes when watching the odd Thundercats episode for this, and then
I did.
I watched that.
I did go down a rabbit hole for my next one, and I'm just going to mention it, because if I don't mention it, so I went down a huge rabbit hole for a series called Family Ness. Do you remember it?
Yes, I do.
Okay, the episodes are all available on YouTube.
I will be watching them soon.
I would highly recommend watching it to Tiny Human, because my Tiny Human absolutely loved it, and we have watched all the episodes on YouTube in the last week. But I didn't realize with this series is how old it was. It was 1984, so it was before.
I do remember it now that you're saying it. I do remember it being seeing it when I was very young.
Yeah,
I probably could put that in with the ones that I've already mentioned.
Yeah. But for anyone who has never seen Family Ness and is watching this, possibly from America or Canada or anything like that, or mainland Europe, basically Family Ness, it revolves a family that live on the shore of Loch Ness, and by accident they save clumsy silly Ness from an accident. You've got these two kids, and her royal Nessness basically gives what they called, Angus and Elspeth, these thistle whistles, so that they can summon the Nessies from the lake.
Yeah.
And every Ness is basically got a different name. I
remember ferociousness.
Yes, so you've got ferociousness, you've got sportiness, you've got silliness. There are tons and tons of different versions of Ness, and it's such a fun show. It's
got me head now because I've got the tune in my head.
Yeah,
I can't remember the exact words.
And it's got such a great theme song. Yeah. See, you're in the vibe now. You're in the vibe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just love it. It just cracks me up how good of a series this was.
Yeah.
And it's one of my very, very first memories of an animation, I think, before even sort of Scooby-Doo and Jetsons. Yeah. So yeah, that's my little bit of a trip down memory lane for animation.
Wow, that's
it's definitely scraping the old bits of memory lane there.
Oh God, it is. It's scratching like memories, like way back down deep in the back of my head.
Yes.
But
So
there's been many a time I've kind of like found myself on YouTube. This is before I had children. Sometimes I would find myself on YouTube going down that cartoon theme tunes of the 80s
yes,
compilations.
yes, I 100% go. But I think this is why I quite like a lot of the animations that I do. It's because the music in them is
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
catchy. You know, you've
You
got
know what? I one day I just found myself like I had one of the twins on my knee and I was just bopping them up and down on my knee, and I found myself singing DuckTales.
Yeah.
And now I sing it quite regularly to them.
Well,
I'm the
yeah,
one who put it on the Nerdy Up North podcast Spotify playlist.
love it. Absolutely. That is your claim to fame. And
That's my claim to fame.
Claim to
We
fame.
have a Spotify playlist. Search Nerdy Up North.
Yes, we will put it in the links below. But yes, do you have any more that are from like the past that you want to talk about before we go on to the present?
Oh God, if you get me started on things like that, I'll end up going. I'll end up going off on one.
Okay.
We'll not get on to the next bit if I do that. But there are so many. The 80s, I think, is such a great time for cartoons.
Yes.
I mean, I'll admit they weren't necessarily as educational as today's cartoons.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't a Bluey, it wasn't an Octonauts,
Yes.
but like, you know, Gummy Bears, She-Ra, Rainbow Bright, Gem and the Holograms, you know, they were all fantastic.
But I find that they were such a creative time because they were trying
Mhm.
out all of these different styles.
Yes. I mean,
And
the
that's why.
raccoons, for heaven's sake.
Yeah. Yeah.
What Tunes Up North did last week.
Yes. Yes.
One of my favourites.
I know, me too.
And I mean,
I've got to catch up on all the episodes.
Yeah.
I've missed it the last couple of weeks being on holiday. This is why this episode is slightly later because I was on holiday. But yes, do you have any songs? Any
I'll
animations?
sing you songs.
Yeah, it's because we've been singing.
Yeah.
Do you have any animations that you like now?
Well, I mean, it's not unfortunately it is one of those that has fallen prey to the cancellation process of late. It started off on Netflix. They did one season on Netflix and it got cancelled, unfortunately. And then it got picked up by Adult Swim for 2 seasons.
Okay.
But then unfortunately, again, it's come to the point of being cancelled, it's such a shame because like on Rotten Tomatoes, it got like 98% for the first season and
Wow.
100% for the next 2 seasons as
That's
well.
really high.
So it's a really good, and it's widely regarded as a great animation. So I'm gonna kind of put 2 things together here. The animation itself, I think, is wonderful. The stories in it, but also the person that created it happens to be a woman. And the a still from the animation and a picture of this lady are in our title screen somewhere that I asked Paul to put in. It's the show is Tuca and Bertie. If you've watched the podcast for a while now, you'll have seen me mention Tuca and Bertie before on one of the top 5s.
It's now clicking. It's now clicking. It's now clicking. Yep.
And the animator and storyteller is Lisa Hannawalt. She created this. She's the main writer of the show. She's an illustrator, cartoonist. She's published comic book series. She's got I think it's 3 books of illustrations up to this point.
Okay.
It's the cartoon itself. Started in 2019. It came out, and it centers around 2 best friends called Tuca and Bertie as they traverse the challenges of their 30s.
Okay.
Now, yes, they are humanoid birds. Basically, they are humanoid birds. It's in a world where there's humanoid plants, humans exist, but animals are also humanoid as well.
Yeah.
But it's a strange mix because there is an episode where one of the characters gets a pet jaguar, and it is just a jaguar. It's not a humanoid jaguar.
Okay.
So there's normal animals, humanoid animals, and such.
Yeah.
If you've seen I don't like to make the comparison because it's well, Lisa doesn't like the comparison either because she wasn't influenced by it, but she did also work on BoJack Horseman.
Okay, yeah.
So if you think about that kind of world with the, what's the word I'm thinking of? Is it anthropomorphic? Animals
I
and
think so,
humans.
yeah.
Yeah, it's that kind of like those characters, but it's a different world.
Yeah.
So they do all the things that normal people do, Bertie lives in a flat with her boyfriend Speckle, who is a robin, she's a song thrush. Tuca is a toucan, and she lives Bertie and Tuca used to live together. But since Speckle moved in, obviously Tuca had to go and find her own flat. And it happens that she finds one in the same building. So they still live very close to each other, just on a floor up.
Okay.
They're great friends. As people grow up, though the kind of like there's sort of tensions, things that you don't always do, like when you were 18, when you were 21.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, Tuca is a former alcoholic, so she's dealing with that. She doesn't fall off the horse. I'll give her a due. She's doing great. But she's very she's like ditzy at times. She has a job for 5 minutes, then moves on to the next job, then moves on to the next job, then moves on to the next job. Whereas Bertie works in an office looking for a promotion, but she's also got an absolute passion for baking and takes an unpaid apprenticeship on the evening with a famous, well-known chef in the local town. Bertie's completely anxiety ridden, has panic attacks. She gets so nervous one day about a presentation she's got to make at work that she calls in sick.
Oh, bless her.
And just tells the meeting to go ahead as it is without her. But a boss, who happens to be played by Richard E. Grant.
Oh, okay.
He's a Blue Jay in this. But our boss later tells her that he put the meeting off to the next day, and because they put it off to the next day, it means the shareholders can come as well.
Oh no.
So she's getting herself really wound up about this. But the thing is, it's not just about things like that. There's it deals with a lot of trauma in their pasts as well. Tuca's mother died when she was younger, and she was raised by our auntie, who is a very rich old bird, and as it turns out, thinks that Tuca already comes to her for the money that she gives her. It's kind of like they deal with such things as sexual abuse.
It sounds like it's got a lot of themes, and that sounds really interesting for an animation to
you know
explore.
what? I think it's not throwing it in your face, but I think it is a feminist show at heart through and through. It's from a woman's perspective, because obviously the two main characters are women. While not as well, I don't want to say it's not as serious as BoJack. BoJack went pretty dark at some points when exploring what goes on in his head.
Yeah.
It has its moment, as I said, sexual harassment in the workplace, sexual assault, misogyny. Bertie goes, as an example, Bertie goes to HR to report a colleague who harassed her. And the HR person, who happens to be a woman, turns around and says, "Well, oh, you're so lucky, he's cute."
Oh.
And she has to go away and deal with this, and ends up doing a seminar herself on sexual harassment and things like that. It's
It just sounds amazing for an animation. It really does. I might have to watch it.
I think the show passed quite a lot of people by. Very few people I've spoken to have heard of it. It's a real shame because it's was missed by the general public, and yet it did receive acclaim and a few awards. I mean, it's still Hannah Watt has said that the story isn't finished. We don't know why it was cancelled after season 3. There was no reason given. but she still wants to finish the story.
Yeah.
She has said she wants to finish it. She's not done creating it. Haven't put her off creating it. The fact that the show's being cancelled. You know, she said, "I've witnessed so many people connecting with the show on a profound level, and I intend to keep telling stories like this no matter what."
Good for her.
And I think that stories like this need to be told.
Yeah.
They need to be told. It is funny, but it's also got its serious points.
Yeah.
And I just think that's kind of like how life is. You've got to. It's not that you've got to have the fun with the serious. It's that it just seems sometimes it just happens that way, though.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely
But
it definitely sounds like it's a very interesting, deep animation, and
Yeah.
I'm all for that. I think animation doesn't get the credit that it deserves for female characters, but also female created
Yeah.
animations, because I don't know about you, but obviously I find that we aren't as represented in media as we should be. And this animation very much sounds it sounds fantastic, and I'm definitely gonna have to check it out.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
just think it's one of those things. It's like when you're talking about animation, people think of like Pixar, like Let It Go. When we were younger, it would have been things like oh, it's just like Scooby-Doo. It's a kids show.
yeah,
But
we would
I
have had
mean,
like The Lion King,
yeah.
Pocahontas, Hunchback of Notre Dame. Those, it would have been very, very Disney.
I think lately that there's been a lot of moving forward with the opinion of cartoons as a kids thing, especially with things like Archer, with things like Big Mouth.
Well, I was thinking Lower Decks, Star Trek Lower
Lower
Decks.
Decks, yeah.
You know, that's amazing. But yeah, so going into my one is a Disney one.
Nothing wrong with that.
But you wouldn't think it was Disney from the stories that it tells. So basically, my one is called Star versus the Forces of Evil.
All right.
Okay, so it's a television series that originally was on Disney XD. I think it's called Disney XD. So this was going back to like 2015.
I remember XD.
But it is actually available on Disney Plus now, because that's how I found it. But it was created by a lady called Darren Neff, and she was the first woman to have a series created by Disney XD. And obviously, so you got to think that this was at 2015, and she's only the third overall for Disney television animations. So you had Piper Ann in 97, and you had Doc McStuffin in 2012. And it's the most watched animated series debut on XD, and it had an average of 1.2 million viewers per episode. But the basic story is it follows a character called Star Butterfly, and she's the heir to the throne of a different dimension, Muni. And basically she messes up, and she is sent to Earth for her reckless behavior. But she's sent to Earth, but everybody knows that she has powers, and this is very much why I like this program, because one of the concepts that Darren wanted to bring into it was the fact that she wanted to make it so that secondary school, high school wasn't the most important thing to these characters, but she also was not concerned with Star fitting in, and you kind of see that representation in the fact that Star doesn't always make friends. She's very much she's very much going with the flow. But what I like is the fact that she doesn't keep her magical abilities a secret, because normally in shows like this, you very much have them having to keep their powers secret. And they wanted her to not have to do that. So obviously the students at the school knows, the teachers know, because she basically at one point turns this teacher that she doesn't very much like into a monster, and then this monster teachers for the rest of the school year. But she's sent to live with Marco Diaz and his family. And obviously Marco and Star have basically the first two series have them traveling through dimensions with dimension scissors, which is just so funny. So they basically have these magical scissors and they just cut holes in the fabric of the universe. And obviously go on different adventures to lots of different dimensions. She has a best friend called Princess Ponyhead, who is literally a princess. She's a ponyhead. It's one of those weird and wonderful series. But the first two seasons are very much, they're going a little bit of adventures, but then obviously it kind of gets a little bit deeper and a little bit more darker, where Star has to evade bad guys who want to take her magical wand. But I just really, really love this series, very much like yourself. It's got the comedy and the drama, and I just feel like this is actually one of the most positive representations of teenagers that I've seen in an animation and in general. I found, like, thinking when I was looking at this and thinking about what I was going to pick and what I wanted to discuss, I was thinking, these teenagers actually act like teenagers. They're not acting like, I keep thinking to Buffy, and the representation that we had of teenagers in that, where they had to keep the secrets. It's very, very much a parallel to that. But obviously these characters are going through very normal emotions, but it's in a magical setting, and it's just so good. And it's just one of those ones that I really like, and I love the fact that you get to see cosplays of it. And she's very much, it's not an animation that's designed to be, it's very much in keeping. I'm trying to think of what kind of the same type of vibe it is, but I can't remember. What is it? Adventure Time?
Adventure Time, yeah.
Yeah, it's very much in the same type of style as that, which is nice. I enjoy this animation, and I highly recommend people going to watch it on Disney Plus, because it is fun. It's meant for sort of, I think, 10 plus. But my daughter was watching it before me, so yes. Do you have any more present ones that you'd like to talk about?
Well, just before we start on that, I would like to apologise for audio listeners if you can hear a baby screaming in the background.
Can't hear it.
I have not abandoned it. My partner is in the other room with them. I've got a few characters that I really like from shows. I mean, the shows themselves I think are great anyway, but I've picked a couple of standout characters from them as well. The animated Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yes.
The animated one. I think it's a great show. It's obviously not necessarily as adult as some of the ones that we've mentioned, but I think it's a good starter for like kids to get on the route to like an older cartoon.
Yeah.
See what I mean? We've recently started watching it with my almost 6-year-old, and he's glued to the screen when it's on now. But my favorite character from Avatar is Toph.
Yes.
Toph, the blind earthbender.
Love it.
She doesn't let it stop her, the fact that she's blind. She's a kick-ass character. It takes a lot to make us scared. I love the fact that it's not I don't think it's an obvious thing, but the element benders do not necessarily need the sight. But I think especially the earthbenders, yes, they'll look there, here, there, and everywhere, but I don't think it's needed for them, because I don't think it's something that all earthbenders have, but I think it might be something more that, when they say that if you lose one sense, all your others become a bit more honed and more powerful. I think it's that case with Toph, that she lost her sight. I don't think she ever had sight, to be honest. I think she was born blind.
I can't remember.
But that she doesn't wear shoes, and she kind of like connects with the ground more, and she can feel the seismic waves in the ground, which is such a powerful thing, because it's kind of how she learnt bending.
Yeah.
She learnt it from the animals that originally did it, and I believe they are blind. I can't remember myself, but I mean, they made me think of the badger moles, aren't they? And moles are blind.
Yeah.
Badgers aren't, but moles are. So I can't remember which trait that they got. But yes, but I think that she had more of a connection with the earth in order to bend it, because of honing her skills elsewhere. You know, and she can beat everybody in the arena in earthbending competitions.
Yes.
And
she's just a very good character.
she defies her parents as well. I mean, I'm not saying that we should all go out and defy our parents by any means, but I think her parents didn't appreciate how good she actually was with this skill.
Yeah, well, she was showing them up, wasn't she? You know,
Yeah,
she
she
was
was showing
better
them
than
up.
them.
They kind of like mollycoddled her a bit because of her being blind.
Yeah.
Whereas like I don't personally know any blind people, but I've seen like the well-known ones on like TikTok and Facebook Reels and stuff, and they just kind of like answer genuine questions from people, like how do you put your makeup on, and they will show you.
Yeah.
And how do you find your way to work and things like that, and they will take you on the journey of them walking to work.
Yeah.
And it's they are so fiercely independent, and it's all the better for them.
Yeah.
You know, if people need help, fair enough, but you know, if they want to be independent, let them be independent.
And for
I
that to
think
be
Tucker's
shown, and for that to be shown in animation,
Uh-huh.
it's amazing.
Uh-huh.
It's such a great character.
And of course, she comes back in The Legend of Korra as well, still as feisty and sassy as ever.
Yes.
And of course, she created a whole bending, I don't know what to call it, a whole bending skill of her own. She created metal bending.
Yes, she did. I
She
forgot
was the
that.
first person to metal bend.
Yes, she was.
And then all of the police, her daughters, who are in charge of the police and leading that other city, I can't remember the name of right now. It wasn't Ba Sing Se, it was the other one. Yeah, taught them all how to do that, and I just think she's an invaluable character.
Yeah, she very much is.
I mean, she held the library up from going under the sand. That takes some strength.
Yes, and it's not a character that you would have expected to do it, because obviously she's not the title character. But yeah, no, she is an epic character, and 100%. I get that. I get why you like that character. I don't overly have a character like that. I do have sort of another TV show that's got to me, which is, if anyone has ever stood in a room with me for more than 5 minutes might know that I have a great appreciation for Captain Planet and the Planeteers.
Yeah. He's our hero.
Yes, bringing pollution down to zero. I won't sing the rest of you for audio listeners, so apologies that you did get me very excited singing then.
Becca and Sarah sings 80s theme tunes.
We have, and I think that should be an outtake. But yes, so I absolutely love this program. I'm very excited that there might be a movie. I've heard rumors. I don't know how true that is. But basically, this was actually created by a woman alongside others. But Barbara Powell actually then went on to create the Planeteer movement and the Captain Planet Foundation. I haven't looked much more into it, but basically it was like a worldwide effort of fans to raise environmental issues after this program. But yeah, Captain Planet and the Planeteers. Basically, if anyone who doesn't know this program, it's a program that was, when our world is in peril, the spirits of the earth can no longer stand the destruction, and she basically sends 5 rings to 5 different people around the world, and when those 5 rings combine, they can create Captain Planet. And it was absolutely epic for its time, because it was created when, you know, we still had Russia known by previous names. And obviously in season 1 and 2, the character that's from there, I think her name's, is it Linka? She was known as she was from the Soviet Union. Obviously in later series that became the Eastern, I want to say the Eastern Bloc. That's what they said it was on the show. But it was all about combining, and you know, this TV show was so good for its age, because each episode, after they'd had their adventure trying to stop the destruction of the planet, they used to have something called Planetary Alert, where you could send in clips, and obviously you could discuss environmental issues, and you know, social political issues and things like that, and how viewers can contribute to the solution rather than the pollution. And I just think this program was so forward thinking for its day. It wouldn't have been allowed. It would not be allowed now. It really wouldn't.
No, I don't think it would.
It wouldn't have been allowed now. But it was so good. But what I didn't realize is LeVar Burton was the narrator, as well as he played is it Kwame from Africa. But there was also so many people involved in this that are famous. So you had LeVar Burton, Whoopi Goldberg, Martin Sheen,
oh wow,
Meg Ryan, Frank Welker, who is the voice of Fred from Scooby-Doo, Tim Curry, Dean Stockwell, and Jeff Goldblum. That is a list.
That's a list and a half.
That is a list and a half of people who were mega famous in the 90s, who were involved in this program. And this program is so influential to me. And I'm so glad that I've managed to be able to get this out in this episode, because I don't think I could have held it in any longer. That I need people to know how much I love this program.
Oh, yeah, no, I remember that, because yeah, of course. I remember there was loads of Captain Planet stuff on the back of cereal boxes back in the day as well.
Yeah, the planetary rings.
Yes.
You had like the code. You had
when
the code
you
breakers.
used to get prizes in cereal boxes.
Yes, when you used to get prizes in cereals. But yeah, it was so influential to me, and I think it's very much created me as a person much more than maybe some of the other programs that we've discussed, and you know, maybe in the first episode. But yeah, I very much love this program, and I love the fact that it's available to watch on YouTube bits and bobs, so I can catch it, because it's not anywhere either here properly, which is a shame. But yeah, it's one of those programs that wouldn't have been allowed now, but I just love the fact that it's so influential. And I would say it's more from a woman's perspective, because of how much involvement this woman obviously had in it, and the fact that she's gone on to create these movements and things like that. And I think it's just great to honor these people that have gone that far, you know, making, you know, trying to raise environmental issues. And even though the main character is a man, you know, there are a lot of women behind the scenes of this program who have made it amazing.
Yeah.
So yes.
I think the last one, the last one that I want to talk about really is the one we mentioned earlier, the new She-Ra.
Yes.
That's on Netflix. Have you watched the whole thing?
I haven't. I've only watched a few episodes. I'm really bad with television programs. Unless I get deep into that rabbit hole, I don't watch them. And then I binge watch them about 6 years after they've become really famous.
I'll admit, I wasn't so keen on a She-Ra remake at first. And it was actually my partner who watched the whole thing first and said, no, I think you really would like it. Because he appreciates a good animation when in like a good story.
Yeah.
I think you would really enjoy it, Sarah. So I watched it, and you know what? He was right. Um, it's I mean, it has the basic friendship will help you conquer everything vibe.
Yeah.
Um, which we don't see as much really anymore, do we? We don't see
Not
it as often
really.
these days.
No.
You know, it's not quite love will conquer all, but it's friendship will conquer all.
But
With your
that's what
friends, you can achieve anything.
that's what it should be. It should be,
Yes.
love doesn't always conquer all. It's friendship in, vibing together.
Yeah. I think this one does have slightly more adult vibes to it as well, though. It's more than it's more of a young adult than kiddie vibe this
Okay.
time. From what I remember, the original She-Ra I was watching when I was about maybe 6,
Yeah.
but I would put this She-Ra as probably about maybe it's an age 9 or 10.
Okay.
Now. I mean, the younger ones can still enjoy it because they just the some of the side stories would just kind of go over their heads,
Yeah.
really. You know, it's lots of bright colours and animals and magic and stuff like that,
Yeah.
so they'd still enjoy it.
Yeah.
It has a lot of female characters.
Yes.
Like the vast majority are female.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got like the Queen first of all. You've got the Princesses of Power.
Okay.
The Princesses of Power. There's like Froster, Mamister. They're all female.
Okay. Because I was good. That was going to be my next question. How different is it from the original one?
I mean, there are like male characters in it. Some of them are quite feminine, and you would think, oh, this character's gonna be gay, but no, it's just like there's one in particular. He's actually head over heels in love with one of the princesses.
Oh.
I mean, there's a lesbian couple in it as well. But it's never mentioned. It's just that's their partner, no biggie.
Yeah, which is how it should be.
Yeah. You don't need to focus in on it. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna go really on a sidebar here. Going off the cartoon Here Dougie is one of my examples of this from when my eldest watched it a couple of years ago. They had a character in a wheelchair in one of the episodes.
Yeah.
Never mentioned it once.
Yeah.
This person just happened to be in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Got on, played with it, everybody did what they needed to do. No mention of it whatsoever. Don't get me wrong, cartoons can be used as awareness tools.
Yeah.
But you don't have to make every cartoon or every TV show an awareness tool.
You know, people will get bored of that.
Yeah. But anyway, back to She-Ra. My favourite character is a toss-up between two, I would say.
Okay.
You've got Scorpia, the Princess of Power, who she's very tall, she's broad-shouldered, she's got scorpion claws for hands and has a scorpion tail.
Love it.
And normal legs. You'd think to look at her that she was immediately evil. And she does start off on the side of the bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? I don't think she realizes that they are the bad guys. She is just so upbeat and, you know, she's filled with positivity. She loves her friends.
Yeah.
You know, she thinks that the Horde is doing the good thing.
Okay, that's an interesting start to a character. I like
She
it.
is a princess of power still. But yes, she just happens to be part of the Horde because their land was already taken over, and she joined thinking, oh no, I understand what these guys are doing. They're doing something good. But the other one is she's not technically a princess, but she's called Entraptor.
Okay.
And she is a whiz with technology. She's smart. She's one of those people. She's really smart, but I don't think she has as much common sense because she kind of gets locked into the technology side of things.
Yeah.
So if there's something happening, she will focus on the computer, and let the thing happen, and she'll be completely oblivious to it. But again, she's upbeat, she's filled with positivity,
Yeah.
to the point of almost naivety.
Oh no.
But yeah, she's like, she accidentally also joins the evil side,
Okay.
but not straight away. She kind of accidentally does it, but she rejoins the rebellion later on. She's got like really long purple hair, and it's prehensile, so she can walk on her hair.
Love it.
She wears heavy gloves, overalls, a welding mask. Never threatens anyone directly, even in dangerous situations.
Okay.
But she can because of her focus being so intense that she focuses in on the one thing. She's often seen as quite a lonely character,
Okay.
and therefore can be easily manipulated.
Which obviously happens.
Which obviously happens, yes,
Yeah.
yes. But yeah, it's kind of like really strong. I mean, oh, I forgot to say this about Scorpio. I've got a quote from her, and I think it's really good for this. She could be self-conscious and really hard on herself, but she copes and hides her insecurities and doubt well. Her mantra is, I am brave, strong, loyal, and I give great hugs. I am going to be the best friend I can be.
That's adorable. That's a great mantra.
Yeah.
We should all live by that mantra.
Yeah. But yes, but yeah, I think it's one of those. I think it's got a great theme tune, but it's kind of like not a. I wouldn't say not a kiddified one, like as we've mentioned, DuckTales or Gummy Bears, anything like that. It's kind of like it could be a pop song. It could be a song in the top 20.
But that's what I'm finding, that I'm thinking about it. The ones that we've said, other than the one with the birds that I don't know anything about really. The theme songs are all theme songs that we probably know, and they probably have been released on CDs back in the day. They are probably those type of theme songs, and I do think music is very important to animation. But yeah, I've got a couple of honorable mentions. Do you have any honorable mentions? Okay. So my honorable mentions are, I've lost them on my screen. Oh, Sailor Moon, because I love Sailor Moon. X-Men the Animated Series.
Yes.
Recess.
Oh yes.
Rugrats and Teen Titans Go.
All right.
I absolutely love all of them. But they are ones that I love, but I don't think they've inspired me and quite as much as the rest of them.
That's fair. I think if we're talking about women in animation as well, I actually think that Big Mouth deserves a shout out. It is very rude. It's very sweary. It's very to the point of what it is to be a teenager. As you can imagine, all of the hormones running through your head and body and everything like that.
Yeah.
But I think it's done something in the mainstream that hasn't been done before. I think, although it's definitely a show for adults.
Yep.
I do not think that teenagers should watch it, but undoubtedly they probably will. But I think it does such a good job of actually saying what's going to happen to your body, what goes through your head, what's gonna do this, that, and the other, and all of those raging hormones that go through. There's episodes on where do I lie on the sexuality spectrum, because there's more than just being straight or gay or bi.
Yeah.
It goes through the songs telling you where you could be, what these famous people were. It's an episode that stands out in my head because it's got like there is a story to this, right? But one of the characters has the ghost of Duke Ellington living in his a lot.
Okay, right.
And Duke Ellington starts singing this song. But then, of course, you get the other characters coming in. So you've got the ghost of David Bowie, the ghost of Freddie Mercury, the ghost of Prince, and the ghost of a few other people coming in.
Yeah.
And they're kind of all singing a bit about where they lie on the sexuality spectrum.
Okay.
And I just think, you know what, you don't get. I mean, it's only kind of recently that I've seen like even non-binary characters coming in.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry, I can't remember her name, but in John Wick 3,
I've not seen it.
the character who is from oh God, I've forgotten where they're from, but there is a character, and the actor or actress, they identify as non-binary, so their character is non-binary, and they're the ones who basically make sure that all the contracts are held, and if somebody breaks a contract, they come in and get them basically.
Okay. So it's John Wick 3, is it?
3, yes.
I know who it is. Asia Dillon.
Yes.
I know exactly
That's
who
their
you're on
name.
about. Yes.
So I mean, I think it's only recent that there are other things that coming into play. You know, to be honest, I don't even think there's been many bi characters in much up to
No.
this point. It's been basically gay or straight, and that's that.
Yeah.
So I think this song has a really big place in our culture these days, really.
And it's fascinating that it's an animation doing this.
Yeah.
What channel is it on?
It's on Netflix.
Okay, so it's a Netflix one. Okay.
It's a Netflix show. But yeah, it kind of like it comes along and it talks about obviously when characters start getting anxiety. It kind of personifies all of their feelings. So they have hormone monsters.
Okay.
They have anxiety bugs.
I love
They
it.
have love bugs. All of these different things are personified in the characters, and that's what helps explain what they're going through. I just think it's not for everyone. I understand it can be offensive for what they talk about sometimes. Some people are not comfortable with what is happening to you at the times. I mean, some of the characters do get caught in compromising positions.
It's not that much different from Star Trek Lower Decks then.
Well,
because there are some moments in that. But it sounds like a very fascinating animation. I don't think I've seen it properly. I think I've seen an advert for it maybe. Because it sounds familiar. But it's not one that I've seen myself. But I will add it to the show notes so people can see what we've been talking about as we've been going through. Have you got any other honorable mentions?
I will keep going and going if you tell me that. But I could sit and talk about animation for ages.
Yes.
And of course we haven't even touched on anime. We could do a whole other thing on anime itself. This is just general animation.
Because I haven't gotten to Sailor Moon, you know. There are options. You know, we've got a lot more options, we've got a lot more ideas of what we are going to do. But next episode we are going to be discussing badass women, I think it was. Yes.
Next episode, badass women. This could be anything from film characters, TV characters, the actors behind the characters, or maybe even historical figures.
Yes.
I mean, we're gonna also we'll say audio versions of this episode will be available on Tuesday, wherever you get your podcasts from. When this goes out on Saturday, we are going to shout out the Velvet Snatch, who is going to be starting a 24-hour live gaming stream on Twitch at 9:30. So it should fall nicely after this. Go and get a drink, go and have something to eat, and then settle down with Twitch. It's where we're going to go.
Yes, because it was so much fun last time.
Yes.
It was absolutely brilliant.
So the Velvet Snatch is a drag queen from the Northeast, played lovingly by our friend Graham, who is on Trekking Up North. You may know Science Officer Sign-Ons, or Sinoise, as he gets called. It's a charity stream. They're doing it for the Charlie and Carter Foundation. And it's over on Synoise's Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/Synoise, which is spelled SYNOIZ.
And it'll be below. I'll make sure it's below.
Tomorrow, the Nerdy Up North podcast will be going on about mystery men, which I have to admit I have not watched in such a long time, so I might
I
have to
haven't
watch
either,
that.
but I have to be there. I'm going to support my boy Chris, who's on his first podcast.
Oh, is it Chris's first one?
His first one. He was on the 24-hour stream, but he hasn't been on a proper official episode yet. So this is his first episode, and I'm excited for it because it was so much fun having him on Fleetcast for 2 episodes last week. So yes, but from us,
and of course, wait, we've got one more that we're very excited about. Remember what's happening on Monday?
Monsters Up North. We are so excited to the point that
we've already had a massive conversation about how excited we are about this.
Yes, we are so excited.
Sammy and Dan are going to be talking to Doug Jones, who is the most famous person you wouldn't recognise.
Yes. To the point that we were discussing this beforehand, and we can only find one role that we know him as him. Well, I know him as him. Sarah didn't, but
I've not seen him as himself in like any role. He's always been in makeup or behind masks or anything like that when I've seen him. But for those of you who don't recognise the name, he plays Billy in Hocus Pocus. He plays Forno and the Pale Man from Pan's Labyrinth. The man with the eyes and the hands, which still freaks the hell out of me.
Yes.
And Saru in Star Trek.
Yeah. Which is
just a few examples.
Yes, he is definitely an epic actor, and I'm very excited to see this. But yes, we'll see you next month with badass women. So keep your hearts full and your fandoms fierce. Stay safe. Bye.
Bye.